What's up everybody, this is Scott. Welcome back to another video. Well again, I'm kind of getting back into the swing of things, still messing around with the background back here, but I wanted to get a quick video out to you of the Jabra Elite 65T versus the old standby, the Apple Airpods. So when I'm comparing all of these, I'm actually going to go over a bunch of different things. They kind of range from the design, the sound quality, Bluetooth or any latency that you might see or have, battery life, gestures, and finally the price, and of course whether or not I would pick one and recommend either one or both to you. Who knows? Stick around for the end of the video. You'll find out. So in this head-to-head comparison, I'm going to give my opinion at the time of this video of which one I would choose. Naturally, there's going to be updates, especially to things like price and gestures. So at the time of this video, this is what I'm talking about. So the first thing I want to talk about in the comparison between the two of them is obviously the design. From a design perspective, these are both truly wireless. And obviously the iconic white look out of the Apple Airpods is definitely something that's easily recognizable versus the Elite 65Ts, which are a little more gunmetal gray, especially the ones that I had. Both are of a complete plastic design, and quite honestly, the AirPod case far and away blows the case from the Jabra Elite 65T. The 65T case is by far the worst part of those earbuds. Apple's really nailed it with their case, the magnetic holding of the AirPods when they're in the chambers, and then the case being so small but having so much battery life. From a design perspective of the cases, Apple is the clear winner. But when it comes to the actual earbuds themselves, I tend to like the look of the Jabra Elite, but I like the feel of the Apple AirPods. From a design perspective, I'm going to go towards the Apple AirPods only because of the comfort factor. When I have the Jabra Elites, especially in my right ear, they were just really uncomfortable. They were a little bit bulky in terms of that space. But with the Apple AirPods, just like everybody's pretty much used to, you can just slip those things in your ear. I know some talk about having the ability to lose them. Something can be said for the Jabra Elites as well, that if you don't get the right fit, they could pop out. That's very rare. Much more common when you have the design of the Apple AirPods, they could fall out. But again, from a design factor, because strictly of the comfort, I am going AirPods on this. From a sound quality perspective, this is where I'm going to lean a little bit more towards the Jabra Elites. Because of the isolation and the actually having the earbuds inside the canal, you can get a really nice seal and get some really good sound out of the Jabra Elite. When you get to the higher ends, things where it has a lot of vocals or a top 40s type hit, those are a little bit tingy when you're using the Jabra Elites, but from an overall well-rounded sound, the Jabra Elites, in my opinion, beat the AirPods. The AirPods come out a little bit flat. They do have a good sound, but in comparison to the both, I prefer the sound out of the Jabra Elite 65T. One thing to mention that with the AirPods, because I'm using an Android device, I don't have a companion app, which means the companion app that I have for the Jabra Elites, that actually worked really well, and I was able to kind of customize what I was listening to. They also have the ability to where I have that pass-through sound where I can hear the commute on the outside, where it uses the 4 microphones to kind of pump in the sound from the outside so I can at least hear what's around me so I don't get hit by a car when I'm walking to work. From a Bluetooth latency perspective, both of them nail them down pretty well. I have found that the Apple AirPods have a little bit longer of a leash. I was able to go 45-ish feet with the Apple AirPods, straight line of course, and I had 30 to 40 feet obviously with the Jabra Elite 65T. Moving on to the battery life perspective, they both came in and around that 5-hour mark. I get a little bit more charge. I think it's 24 straight hours out of the AirPod case itself, whereas I get 15 out of the Elite 65T. Honestly, the way that I charge things every single night between a watch and a phone and camera and another camera and a MacBook and a lot of Google stuff, you get the general gist of what I'm picking up and putting down. I don't really have a charging issue. 15 hours is more than enough. The difference between 15 and 24 when it becomes the two cases is pretty negligible for me, but I could totally see someone saying, hey, I want to go an extra day without charging anything. So with that perspective, I'm leaning again towards the Apple AirPods from a battery life perspective. So from the gestures perspective, in my last video, I talked about what the Jabra Elite have from a gestures perspective and where I really couldn't even utilize it because of the comfort factor. That said, at least I have the option of doing that with the 65T. With the AirPods, I don't have that option at all because I use an Android device. If I used an iPhone, it would be a totally different story. play, pause, skip tracks, things like that. I don't have that availability to do with the AirPods because it needs to live in the Apple ecosystem to fully get those enhancements. With the 65T, I at least have the option. So from a gestures perspective, for my particular use case, the Jabra Elite 65T wins. So from a price perspective, the 65T come in at about $170 at the time of the recording, whereas the AirPods come in somewhere between $149 and $159 respectively. We're within about $10, $10, $20 of each other, and it's going to really depend on your use case if you want to spend that extra difference. But for me, it came down to the comfort factor. Overwhelmingly, the biggest difference between these two earbuds for me was the comfort. The AirPods were just far and away way more comfortable for me and the way that my ears are shaped than the Jabra Elite 65T. I would actually pick the Jabra Elite over the Apple AirPods. My recommendation is going to be this. You already know what the Apple AirPods feel like because you've had regular old Apple earbuds. I think I got the differentiation between those two. You know what those feel like. So overall, I recommend both. If your use case and the comfortability actually comes for the Jabra Elites, get those. Otherwise, you know what you're going to get with the AirPods. It's just a really good, consistent product. I highly recommend both. So that's it. That's all I have. Thanks for watching. Thanks for putting up with I'm not really sure if this studio is going to stay this way, probably because I'm still unpacking. As always, like, share, subscribe, thumbs up, leave a comment below, and we will see you next time.